Welcome everybody to this press conference for the launch of Graphene flagship. This is a €1 billion project, 10-year project, pan-European, 75 universities or research institutions, 126 research groups in 17 countries to start with, that have a coordinated action for graphene research and related 2D materials. I won't be long. I will introduce the panel here, and we will start with a short presentation by the panel, one by one, and then we have an open Q&A session. So we have Dr. Carl Christian Boer, member of the Cabinet of European Commission, here, of the President Neelie Kroes, Brussels, Belgium. We have Professor Karin Markides, President of University of Chalmers University of Technology, Gothenburg, Sweden. We have Dr. Wolfgang Boch, Head of Flagship Unit, European Commission. Professor Jari Kinnaret, Director of the Graphene Flagship, Chalmers, Sweden. Professor Sir Konstantin Novoselov, member of the Scientific Advisory Council of the Graphene Flagship, University of Manchester, UK, and Tapani Rihanen, Nokia Research Center, Finland and UK. Okay, I hand over first to Dr. Carl Christian Boer.
Thank you very much. I'm speaking for the Vice President of the European Commission, Neelie Kroes, the Dutch Commissioner who is in charge of the FED Flagships program. She and her services have worked the last 5 years for making it possible to launch this project today. And in January, she has announced in Brussels the selection of the flagship process. You have a picture of her doing this with Professor Kinnaret here in your materials. And since then, we have negotiated the fine print and the contracts, and they have been signed now, so we can be here today launching this work. And I will be very short. I just want to recall why we are doing this. Why is the EU putting 500 million euros on the table for the next decade? And it's really very simple. We want to see excellent science. We want to see exciting industrial applications. So we want to see the economic outcome of all of those great ideas and great projects and great prospects that have been presented an hour ago in the previous seminar. And obviously we want to see the economic activity, the growth, the jobs associated with this development, and the utility that our citizens, 500 million European citizens, will derive from the new technologies, new medicines perhaps, new opportunities that come from the graphene material. And we also want to see that it can work, this kind of project, because it's not a done deal. It's not a given that you can run a decade-long project with 75 partners and be successful, to stay open enough, flexible enough, motivated enough over this time. And it's not a one-off thing. There will be discussions all the way with us inside the project. We have to make sure together that we can deliver this over 10 years. And it's a European, and even more than European, collaboration, and we badly need this. No European country is big enough on a world scale to make a difference for this technology and for many other technologies. If we can prove it in this area and the other area that we have selected, there is a good chance that we can do more of this in the future to deliver more of the goods. And I would just thank everybody who was involved up to now, and I wish everyone success for the next decade. It will certainly not be the easier part of this path. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I want to continue as responsible for a university here of Chalmers that is coordinating this great effort. I want first to give my thanks to the Office of Neelie Kroes for believing in us that we will be able to do this, to take this responsibility, and then also to tell you that this is a very good thing for us at Chalmers to be able to also be challenged in this way, because we are actually, since many years now, we have, as a university, really been thinking and developing the role of university in this way. And what we need as a university to be able to do this in practice and to really set this new type of responsibility for a university to not only deliver the best of knowledge, the best students to change the world in the future, but also to be able to add attraction and growth to the collaborators that we have. This is something that we have worked with. We also call it as the knowledge triangle to really get into a responsibility for a university. We have worked, Chalmers has worked very actively in Europe in developing, also helping developing the Horizon 2020 program from the platform of CSAR, which is the most advanced technical universities in Europe, about 60 of them. And as such, we have also found even more interest in taking on this type of responsibility. See, how can we, beyond what we are really working on inside of the university, really make sure that what comes out, both in knowledge and competence, that this can really add to development in Europe, and that we can utilize the fact that we have not only the most of the innovations coming from here, that we also have a diversity in Europe that is untapped, if you want. The diversity that could really add on really creativity and make it able so that the good companies that are in this part of the world really can also take new challenges and come to new competitiveness. I think we can also, with this type of possibility, adding a new material on the scene is really opens up both to work with the raw materials, with the also with all the way to the new products in the large companies. So I think, and that gave them new possibilities. So we are actually, as you hear, very much interested to take on a responsibility, and we want to also be able to help and add whatever the flagship is doing, as large as it is, as huge as it is. We understand that it's also around the flagship, what comes around it in the whole cascade of possibilities. That's where we also need to add solutions. And so we are working with that. We are working very closely with in the Graphene Center at Chalmers, together with Jari and me, myself, really to try to see how we can add on this responsibility and work with all of the European nodes, whatever it takes. Also, we have the IP development here, which is also very interesting, and that is, of course, as important as the knowledge and competence. So with that, I want to I hope that I have added some, if anybody had doubted that we would not take the responsibility, I hope that I have closed that question. Thank you.
Switch it on. Okay, good afternoon. I just want to add a few aspects to what Carl Christian Buhr already has said. First of all, I think really should be a moment of pride for all of those who have participated in this competition. I mean, it has been a competition which was prepared over 3 years, and Graphene and all the collaborators in Graphene has turned out to be at the top of this competition, because Graphene, next to the Human Brain Project, was selected as an initial flagship to start for a very challenging endeavor for a period for over 10 years. And this is not kind of what some people may say, gigomani in Europe, here to say we are now going to put more money in one area. This is something which the bureaucrats would have invented. It's a specific request which came from the scientific community, that there are challenges, that there are opportunities where it's worthwhile to invest more and to look at new dimensions of collaboration. And I think we're not looking only at new dimensions of collaboration in terms of the challenge between the scientific and research community, but we're looking as well at a kind of a new innovation model by having a continuum of collaboration between the research community and the industry partners. And as most of you may know, the standard, the normal research contract and the normal research activities, the projects in the Commission, in the framework program, they are a 2 to 3 years endeavor, sometimes exceptionally 4 years. Very often consortia break apart and we get research results and they're not taken over to the industry. Now here we hope we create a kind of a new model, as I said, which can deliver more efficiently, more effectively on the innovation. And of course, it's clear by the sheer size of the endeavor that the flagships will be in the spotlight to deliver on the innovation, on the growth and the job side. And I think it's a challenge, I said, in terms of collaboration from the various communities. But there's the other dimension, and Karl Christian has hinted at that. It's a dimension on looking on how we can do things together in Europe with national programs. Very often, EU activities run in parallel to the national activities. Now, the flagships were conceived to align, to coordinate with the national activities, that things would be benefiting from each other, creating synergies between the national activities and the European activities. So this is another dimension where I think many of the scientists may not be very much used to see as well, to include those national dimensions. Maybe the institutions are not very used to work together in a European framework with other research agencies and ministries from other countries. But I think the degree and the quality of the collaboration which can be delivered will determine as well the success in this endeavor. And we need to have all parties on board. And I think today is a day of being proud and having an element and a moment of celebration. And I want to share with all the participants who have been engaging in that the success for Graphene and the work led under the leadership of Jari Kinneret. Thank you.
It was already mentioned by Karl Christian Buhr that this has been a long process, 5 years for the Commission. For us, it has been almost as long a process. Some of the people in this room, Andrea Ferrari in the back, Kostya to my left, and others, we have been working on this for 3.5 years. And now the first version of the ship has been built and has left the harbor 10 days ago. It's very characteristic that the focus of the discussions today in the Strategic Advisory Council was not so much on what we have been doing thus far, but how do we make the ship even bigger. We are talking about expansion, how to bring in new partners. That's one of our first tasks to do. The other topics that I hope that you have noticed here is there is an exhibit outside that shows some of the possibilities with graphene. You should remember that in 2004 it was the most basic of basic researches, Scotch tape, no industrial promise, and now in the exhibit we see many items that are approaching industrialization. Some already are there. Further example of that is that a few weeks ago we had a workshop for Swedish industry with more than 50 companies participating. Tomorrow morning we will have a visit by a very high-level delegation from the Royal Swedish Academy of Engineering Sciences looking into graphene from the industrial point of view. So we are already well on the way to make this transition from academic laboratories to society at large. Finally, I would like to come back to the issue of flagships as the right vessel to make this transition from academia to society. That kind of a transition is only possible if industry and academia work together for a long period of time and very much side by side in work packages. So the kind of concentrated focused effort is key, and it's a very good move from the Commission to see this, and I'm sure that that single flagship vessel will be further enforced when we move to the next phase and the Horizon 2020.
Let me touch the scientific note here and